Okay, so a dilation just means that you are either shrinking the original shape or you're blowing it up, increasing it. So it's going to get smaller or it's going to get bigger. If it's getting bigger, it means you're multiplying by a number that's bigger than 1. But if it's getting smaller, it means you're multiplying by a number that's less than 1. In other words, usually a fraction. Okay. So for this one, we're just going to focus on writing the new coordinate using the scale factor. The scale factor is just k. So we're just going to take each one of these numbers and multiply it by 3.5. So what is 6 times 3.5? So 21. And what's 2 times 3.5?
7.
So the new ordered pair is 21/7. So for the scale factor of 4, what's 5 times 4?
20.
And what's negative 8 times 4?
Negative 32.
And so that's your new ordered pair. Very simple, right? Go ahead and move to number 4. This is multiplying by 0.5 or 1/2. So what's negative 4 times 0.5?
2.
Negative 2. And 4 times 0.5? 2. So negative 2, 2. Did it get bigger or smaller?
Smaller.
Got smaller. So this one would be a smaller shape. But the first two were bigger. So for number 3, would it get bigger or smaller? Bigger. For number 5, would it get bigger or smaller? Smaller. How do you know?
Because it's a fraction and it's less than 1.
Less than 1, yes. What about 6?
Bigger.
Bigger. What about 7?
Bigger.
Smaller.
Smaller. It's less than 1, right?
Yeah.
What about 8?
Smaller.
Smaller. What about 9?
Smaller.
At
Bigger.
7 over 3 is actually an improper fraction, right? Which means it's bigger than 1. So it's going to get bigger. What about 10?
Bigger.
Bigger. All right. On the back of that page, it's the exact same thing. You're just multiplying several of the points by that scale factor. Okay? Go ahead and move to the next page. Okay? This is going back over square roots. So remember, in your calculator, to type in a square root, you press second and the x squared button. Okay, so we're going to press second and then x squared. And you see we have the square root symbol. And what is the square root of 4? Type that in, press enter. And it gives you the whole number of 2. So that's answer choice A. And so that's just reviewing over. They're all multiple choice. For this bottom portion, it says write each number in scientific notation. Okay, so remember you can take your calculator and put that in scientific mode. How do we do that? Press mode, highlight psi, enter. You can clear that out and then just type in your number. So 63,700. Just press enter. And now you see it's 6.37 times 10 to the 4th. So that's answer choice A. And so that's what you would repeat through each one of these. To take it back out of scientific mode, you would press mode and just highlight normal, press enter, and clear that out. On the back of this page, we have the same thing at the top portion, but this bottom portion we're typing in scientific notation, and they want us to write it in standard. That just means as a regular number. So 3 times 10 to the negative first power, you can type in 3 times. And then this button here in the very middle of your calculator, that times 10 to an n, if you press that, you can just type in the exponent, and that's a little bit of a shortcut for you. So it says 3/10. How do we change that to a decimal? Press this arrow key, and it'll change it for you. So it's 0.3. Let's see. Another page of square roots and scientific notation. It's the same type of stuff, just different numbers. Let's move on to the next page. So this one, it says simplify, write each answer in scientific notation. And this is just putting, this is just operations with scientific notation. So how you see it is exactly how you should type it in the calculator. So where there's a parentheses, you need to put a parentheses. So this one is parentheses 3.9, and it's times 10 to the 5th. Come out of that with this arrow key, come over. Put another parentheses, open up another parentheses. 3 times 10 to the 6th. Come out of that, put your parentheses and press enter. And you see it's 1.17 times 10 to the 12th. So it's just practicing, making sure that you know exactly how to use your calculator. And that's repeated for the front page. Everything is multiplication, and it's all multiple choice. On the back, the same thing is true. Okay, on this next page, this is function intervals. We talked about this a little bit at the end of last 9 weeks. We'll go ahead and work through this first one. It says, for each function below, place an X in the box that applies to each interval. Okay, so from -7 to -5. Okay, and this is for the X value, so we're only talking about this axis here, right? The horizontal numbers. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, so -7 is here, and -5 is here. So we're talking about from here to here, this segment that's drawn. What's happening? Is it increasing or decreasing from left to right? So from here to here, what's happening? Decreasing. All right, and then from -5 to -3. So -5 to -3 is that next segment. So from here to here, what's happening? Increase. All right, and then from -3 to 1, so from here to here, what is that? And then we have 1 to 7, what's happening? Neither. It's flat line. That's a 0 slope. Nothing's changing. Okay, so let's look. Okay, this is interesting. Let's look at part B real quick. I could see us struggling with this one a little bit. So just the problem directly below what we just talked about. Notice that there's nothing on the graph. It says for each problem below, sketch a graph that matches the given intervals. Okay? So from -8 to -2, that's from here to here. We need to draw a line segment that is decreasing. Okay? You might have a straight line, you might have a curve. It's up to you. It doesn't matter how big it is as long as it's going down from left to right. So that's a decreasing line. So I went from here to here. That's decreasing. So I did that. Now from -2 to +2. So from here to right here at +2, it needs to be doing what? It says neither. What does that mean? Go straight across. A flat line. All the way to +2, right? And then from 2 to 5, so from here to here, it needs to be decreasing again. So it needs to go down. Okay? And then from 5 to 8, it needs to be what? Increasing. So from 5 and 8 is the end of the graph. You can make it as big or as small as you want. I'm going to go big. That's definitely increasing, right? All right. The back of this page mimics the same thing. It shows you the graph and asks you to mark whether it's increasing, decreasing, or neither. Below that, you read the chart and you try to mimic what the chart says. Everybody's going to have something slightly different, but if it's increasing or decreasing, it'll be clear. The next page, slope of a line. Okay, so remember the slope of the line is measuring the steepness of that line, right? Okay, and they start us off with rise and run. In the directions, it says the slope of a line measures the steepness of a graph. To calculate the slope, you must find the quotient of the rise and run. Quotient just means we're dividing, so we're talking about that fraction with the rise and the run. The rise measures the vertical, so that's the y-coordinate. The run measures the horizontal change, which is the x-coordinate. Find the slope of each line. You can express the slope as a simplified fraction, a whole number, or a decimal, okay? So if the rise and run are 2 and 4, you can put 2 over 4. It needs to be simplified, though, so that is 1/2. Okay, so now on this set of points, how far up is this? So from 1 to 5, how far is that?
4.
That's a length of 4. And then how far over is this? 2, yeah. It went over 2 lengths, right? So the rise is 4, the run is 2, 4 over 2 is just 2. Okay, and let's look at this next one. So from 1 to 7, how far is that? What's 7 minus 1?
6.
So that's a rise of 6. And how far over is this from this point? 1. And what's 6 over 1?
6.
Just 6. Okay, so I think you can get the hang of that. So you're going to repeat that for the next 6 problems. If you turn over onto the back of that page, it says find the ratio of the rise to the run in each graph and then find the slope. So it's the same idea again. It's just a different style of graph. So the rise is the vertical. So how far up is this from 0 to 4? It's 4 over. And then how long is this horizontal line?
9.
So 4 over 9. Well, which is actually simplified, right? And so the ratio, the rise here, remember vertical first, so it goes on top. That goes up to 6. So 6 over, how far over?
3.
And 6 divided by 3 is?
2.
So the slope is 2. Okay, if you move on to the next page, which is our last page, this is reviewing back over systems.